and welcome to this exciting podcast, the Awanachi Conversations. We're excited to be back after taking a break from December last year, where we profiled different women from different walks of life, just sharing us their stories of faith, determination, and resilience. My name is Mpunga Chipepo Simukwai, and I'm excited that in this Women's Month, we've taken time to just profile amazing women doing amazing things in the different sectors of the economy. I am excited to have on the podcast today Miss Chiwala Shichilaba, who's the head of women's banking at Stanbic. For others, you know it as the Anazi Banking. Chiwala, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mrs. S. I hope I can call you Mrs. S.
Yeah, you can. You are used to that. Even when I correct you, we still get back to Mrs. S. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Simukwai, for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, how's the Women's Month looking for you?
To be honest, it's one of those very exciting months, but very busy at the same time. Yeah. But when all is said and done, it's important that we're recognized as women, and each and every woman out there is recognized, depending on the age, whatever age group you're at. It's just the feeling of saying, I'm a woman, and I should be comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
looking forward.
We have so much activities lined up, and I'm hoping actually you're going to be part of those activities. So
I have planned for that. I have locked in my calendar for awesome. March to attend as many women's events as we possibly can. Now, to set the ball rolling, you launched the Anazi Banking women's proposition, and I think that was really a unique one because I don't think we had ever had that previously. Could you take us through what is the Anazi women's banking?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Simukwai, for that question. Anazi Banking was launched in 2017, and I must be proud and to make mention that Stanbic Bank was the first commercial bank to have launched a women's proposition in Zambia.
Well done.
Thank you.
Big hand there.
Thank you. So, and I must say that because we saw and noticed the gap that was there in terms of women banking, and obviously even as we are talking these conversations, it's just to say, why did it have to start? So because we saw the gap in the women's banking or in the women's market and the world over, so you see that different organizations, different countries are now bringing on board women's banking. So Anazi was a brainchild, and I must say, make mention of the trailblazer, Mrs. Mwansa, who was a pioneer of this great initiative together with Ngoza Nyarenda, who is currently our head of credit. So just talking about Mwansa, just to make mention on the conversation, the first Zambian woman to be working on the group as an executive, which we are very proud of when we see those things happening to our very own Zambians and part of the Stanbic Bank group. It's something we can talk about. So looking from where she's coming from and what we've been able to do through the Anazi Banking proposition, we see that there's a future for the women out there. So I must say that Anazi Banking, most people would want to think it's a product, but Anazi Banking is a proposition. Banking for women, by women.
Absolutely.
So anyone who's a woman, a girl, youth, as long as you're a woman, you want Anazi. And that's why, obviously, with now Awanachi Conversations, I'm sure we are speaking the same language.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love how you explain the fact that, it was a unique one and never had had that sort of arrangement in Zambia. So in terms of Stanbic, what are some of the aspects that you think or a girl or a woman would learn from a woman like you, a woman in banking? What are some of the opportunities that are there, for instance, in the banking sector for a young lady, for a middle-aged woman, for any woman or girl that's watching the conversation right now?
To be honest with you, some of the things that I've learned is the ability to believe. Because many a times as women, we tend to look down on ourselves. Even if we talk about entrepreneurship, you find, if I was to ask, even just do a random survey, you talk about entrepreneurs, most of those who are risk takers, you find to be more around men. You talk about finances, talk about fixed deposits, you talk about investing in government bonds. Only out of 10, you find only one is a woman who has invested in a bond. Because most of us women are risk averse. We're always scared to take on something new. So that aspect has begun to change the way we look at things. And that is why even when we talk about Anakazi, it's making women to become included. So we talk about the inclusivity of women. So not that we're trying to say that because you're a woman, we're trying to drive the feministic agenda. No. We're just trying to say you are included. And I don't want to. I always say that when I'm having conversations, say we need to look at Anakazi not as a gender thing, but as an inclusion. Looking at women as a business. How do I see you when I come to invest in you as Mrs. Simukwai? What can I do with you other than just you being a woman? What do you bring to the table?
Absolutely.
That's one thing we need to begin to look at. So even when I look at myself now and I'm like, you know what? Once upon a time I was just a girl in high school. But today I'm seated here and we're having a conversation. I'm like, if
head of women's banking.
Exactly.
You know?
So if you had asked me a question,
put that in there.
Head of women's banking, Anakazi.
Yes,
so you know when I look at it and I'm today I'm sitting and I'm like, if it was going to be easier if, let's say, I was a man. Because I'd be like, oh, I'm a head, I can do it. But then because I'm a woman, sometimes we're like, can I really do it?
Yeah.
Do I have what it takes?
Absolutely.
We always want to second guess ourselves.
Yeah.
But ideally, when we talk about Anakazi and every woman out there, is to say, you can do it. Because remember we say, it can be. So she can be.
Wow. I love that. It can be, but she can be. Now, you touched on an interesting perspective, Chiwala, where you talk about how women, we second guess, we self-doubt. There's the impostor syndrome. What do you think is the cause of that? Where does that problem come from? Because like you said, if you look at the numbers you're giving us, where women putting in investments, you have 9, out of 10. It's the 9 other men, the woman is probably a unique case in that sort of scenario. What do you think is the reason behind women always holding back, always dealing with the self-doubt, always allowing the imposter syndrome to take the better of us?
So when we talk about that inclusivity aspect, I always say that there are a lot of factors that lead to those things happening. But I think one of the biggest thing is the culture aspect.
Yeah.
For a very long time, you are told as a woman to, when they are men, you can't speak up. You have to take the back seat. But if I'm to twist it a bit, I'm not preaching, but I look at women like Deborah. She was a woman. But you see that she's one of the women that emerged as a judge amongst men.
Judge Deborah in the Bible.
So you look at those aspects and you believe to see that even from the biblical aspect, God has a unique design for women. He had us in his agenda, but because for a very long time, we've always wanted to take the back row. But you see such women, when I look at them and I'm like, wow, amongst judges, male judges, she emerged. You have the likes of Naomi. Even when her husband and her sons died, but still people looked up to her as a leader. You look at Sarai. All those are women who were phenomenal, who did phenomenal stuff. But you look at, I always think of Deborah and I say, that aspect which she brought to the table is what I think most of us women are now looking at and now beginning to change the narrative. So I think most of the time is the cultural aspect. We always think that there's certain things that are just supposed to be done by men. Talk about a pilot. For a long time, we always thought men were supposed to be pilots. Yeah. And now we see ladies emerging. We see engineers emerging that are women. We see a lot of things that we thought were mainly male-dominated. We see women coming out of their comfort zone, coming out of their shell, which means that in every one of us, God created us with a unique ability. Absolutely. But it's about us identifying that uniqueness. And I think when you talk about Anazi Banking, where we have the platform which we say access to knowledge. We have also seen that there's a lack of knowledge. So you find you're in university, male and female, but sometimes as women we feel there's certain conversations we should have, some we shouldn't have. So I always think it's just a mental and a mindset which most of us women find ourselves in. But the more we keep engaging, the more we keep having conversations like this one we're having today, I believe we're going to see a better 2023, 2024, and the next 30 years. We should be talking different things. Yeah. I'm looking forward to come and have a conversation with you and say, you know what, we're talking about over 50-50 now. Talk about government bonds, we're saying 50% of them that are investing in government bonds are women. We shouldn't have a situation where we say out of 10, one woman is investing in a bond. It should be a different scenario after 30 years. Because then would have driven the right conversations, the right behavior, even our culture. It doesn't mean that because you're a woman, there are not things that you can't do that. I believe all of us are unique in a certain way, and we can do it.
Absolutely. Now, issues of gender inequality continue to be, a conversation in generally the country as a whole, the continent, and the world over. Could you take us through, in terms of the banking sector, how are issues of gender inequality being addressed, and what are some of the measures that you think the banking sector, or specifically Stanbic, has taken to just level the playing field for both, for the women particularly?
I believe, Mrs. Simukwai, just by me being here, I believe those silos are being broken. And as Anakazi, we see that the initiative that was brought up to say, let's have this preposition. Let's make sure that the women are included. And I believe this is one of the initiatives that Stanbic has taken on board. And I must say that from the top leadership, from as high as our CE, Mwindwa Siakalima, to the whole entire executive. And I must say that as Stanbic Bank, we are proud to say that 60% of the EXCO members are women.
Well done.
So we can just
Very
see.
important.
Yeah, we can just see from those conversations that even from the leadership, from a group perspective, from Stanbic Bank itself, internally, we see that there's a lot of women that are coming on board. Because I'm sure they understand that anything to thrive, and I don't say that I want to talk about this, I'm bragging about it, but I see women as a point of success. When you bring in women on a lot of things, you'll find that most of the projects become successful. I know someone will beg to differ and say, but when you have too many women, because you women talk too much, I say, we might talk too much, but we still deliver results. If you look at Jesus in the Bible, he was helped by women. You look at Susanna, you look at all those leaders. Those were women that came and helped Jesus. Yes, the apostles were men, but we see that the people that came and soldiered on the gospel, those were women. So I believe that even from the aspect of Stanbic and trying to ensure that we have the gender inclusion, we've seen that the whole executive, that even from the board of directors, they're saying, how do we make sure that each and every woman is included? How do we break those barriers of saying banking is just for men? Because you see that even if you go to the streets and want to say you want to open bank accounts, you find most of them are going to come as men. But what are the women doing? So as Stanbic, through the Anazi Banking proposition, this is where even our drive is coming from, to say we don't want to leave anyone behind. A woman can walk to a bank and say, I want to open an account. And by virtue of them opening the account, they automatically qualify to become Anakas. So we say that because you're female, we believe that there's more you can do. Come out of that shell. Come out of that comfort zone. Let us walk the journey with you. That is why Anakazi is not a product, but it's a value we're giving to the women that are coming on board. So we're saying, come on board. Let's do this together.
Because she can be.
She can be.
I love that. Now, you've been around for quite a while as Anazi Banking. Could you just highlight maybe 2 to 3 success stories that you can point to and say, since we came into the picture, this has been our impact as our Anazi Banking?
If you'd ask me to say stories, I would say stories the whole day.
Yeah.
But some of the things that come to mind was one of the ladies that were able to help out. Most people think banking, they only think financial, but we also have the aspect of non-financial services. So in as much as we want to give loans, but I always say that what's the point of giving a loan to somebody who doesn't have the right level of knowledge? So through the Anazi Banking conversations that we've been having with these women, we're able to help her out. She had an issue with the loans that were becoming non-performing. But after we walked through the conversation and showed her what she needed to do, we saw her becoming successful, and she was able to open a hostel, have boarding houses through the Stanbic Anazi Banking proposition. We've had women that have come on board that were unable to sell or unable to have their proposals when they come to the bank. Always they come, they are declined. But after we got them through the aspect of how do you manage your books, those conversations, we're able to see that now our women have bankable businesses that they are now able to bring the bank, and we say, we can bank this and we can give you a loan from this idea. So it's one thing to have an idea on paper, but having an idea in the mind, but putting it on paper and bringing it to the bank, and the bank can buy into it, is something else. So when we joined Anakazi, and when we've been going through these conversations, we've seen a number of women emerging and coming and saying, you know what, actually never looked at it this way. But through those conversations, through those access to knowledge aspect we spoke about, access to finance. So when we talk about financial, non-financial, most women have benefited from the non-financial aspect. And we have those stories that are coming out, say, I wasn't able to write a business proposal, but after joining the Anazi Banking classes we've had, they're able to write business proposals. So I must say that looking forward to even more stories because we believe that the woman out there can be.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you would want a lot more women coming onto your proposition of the Anazi Banking. How does one sign up for the Anazi Banking? Because obviously, you want to be in a space where you'll be able to network and connect with different women. How does somebody go about signing up for the Anazi Banking?
Talking of networking, we say that under Anakazi we have access to networking sessions. So by virtue of you out there, you're a woman and you say, you know what, I've been looking for a bank that will speak to my needs. So remember I spoke about Anakazi being a value add. We are proud to say that for us, you don't need to sign up for anything, but by virtue of you opening an account with Stanbic and you're a woman, your business account could be your personal account, you get to enjoy the privileges of being a woman under Anazi Banking. Sign up your account, open up an account, you're a woman, you're a business-led organization, woman business-led, we have you that under Anazi.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, getting back to you on a more professional and personal level, could you share with us some of your most exciting or outstanding moments as a woman in banking, particularly in the space of Stanbic? Just highlight to us just two that when you sit back, you're like, okay, those were really fantastic.
No, when I talk about Stanbic, I feel like I'm now part of, I feel like Stanbic, the blue blood. I think that's why I'm wearing blue. But I'm just
You
saying.
have blue blood.
I just didn't realize, it's so funny that, I walk into a shop and the only thing I think of is C is blue. And I'm like,
Yeah.
has it become that bad? So, so when I talk about my success and my exciting stories, moments in Stanbic, the moment I think when we were able to speak to the young ladies about what we're calling the Anakazi chapters in the universities, I think those are some of the things that have really excited me, and just to see us coming out and speaking to these young ladies. And something also, so when we went to the markets, where as Anakazi we went and we interacted with the marketeers, or the traders, not to call them marketeers. But those are some of the things that when I look back and I say, when I'm not here anymore, they'll remember that there was a lady who came to us in the markets. There's a lady who came to us in the schools. There's a lady who was able to just share her story. And for me, part of that journey has just been to say, nothing stops me from achieving what I want. If I believe it, I can do it. So it's really exciting just to see myself. I'm actually clocking 12 years in Stanbic.
Oh, wow, well done. Well done. 12 years is no small feat.
Yeah, and you see these women that have made it, have been there 30 years. And I look at them and I'm like, wow, I still got 17 more years to get it there.
Yeah.
But ideally is the fact that I feel I belong to something and I can make a difference. That is very exciting. Every time I wake up and I believe that I'm adding value. Absolutely. It might not be to everybody, but could just be to that one girl. That for me is success. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So every day in Stanbic and Anazi Banking is exciting.
Yeah. You have talked about having done 12 years. What has been your journey like? Did you just become head of women's banking? What has brought you to where you are now, to head the women's banking in Stanbic? Because I know for sure, even without you telling me, that it's not been easy, but maybe somebody watching would be inspired just to hear your story. Could you share that with us?
Thank you so much. My story spans out as far back as 2008. And it's so interesting that I started out as a direct sales agent. And
sales agent,
yes.
Wow.
So sometimes I always say that it's important to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
A ladder, you cannot just get to the top of the ladder. There's a step that is down there. So when you get to step number 1, number 2, number 3, until you get to the top.
Yeah.
Most of us feel like, I just need to get to step number 5 for me to get up there. But for anything, I always say, my bishop always tells me to say, whatever starts from the top is the grave.
Wow.
That's the only that starts from the top.
Yeah.
Anything else, you need to rise up the ladder. So I started out as a sales agent, and then went on. I was a bank teller. From there, I went on and customer consultant, I believe that I interacted with so many great people, great minds, that when we had conversations, I'm like, you know what, you're going to become a CEO one day. And I'm like, CEO? And I'm like, guys, I'm just a teller. And I'm like, how does that even possible? How are we going into the conversation of CEO?
Yeah.
But with the determination and always putting my best foot in whatever I do. You know, many a times when, even in this role, there's so many people that out there that just feel I can just sit and keep praying and just think that it's just going to automatically happen. But you always need to put your best foot at whatever you're doing. You don't know who's going to see you. You don't know who's going to notice you. But the moment they see that there is something in this person, then they'll believe in you and just give you the opportunity. Absolutely. Opportunity comes to everybody, but it's how you take on the opportunities. And for me, from the time I joined the bank, I sat down. I've got a lot of people that I've been looking up to, and I see and say, if she can do it, I believe I can do it. So from wherever I've been, teller, customer consultant, executive banker, sales team leader, it's just been pushing, achieving that, you know what, I can do it. I can do all things. Because if they can do it, like, you know, I look at you and I'm like, she's there today. How did she get there? You've got your story to tell. And listening to your conversations, listening to other people that have walked the journey that I want to walk, I always put myself and apply myself in the best way possible that I can. Absolutely. And before I know it, I think the next conversation we'll be having, I'll be like, CEO, let's do this.
Let's do this. Yes. Because she can be.
She can be.
Okay, now you are, so as Awanachi Magazine, we are committed to making a difference around issues of menstrual hygiene management, around issues of period poverty, and we run this campaign where we raise funds to purchase reusable pads and panties for girls, particularly in rural Zambia, because we believe as Awanachi that we are here to make a difference in the lives of the girls and the women as well. And we do believe that when a woman's period is taken care of, a girl's period is taken care of, then we're enabling them to stay in school longer and become better citizens that are able to contribute to the economy. So you are one of the partners that will be coming on board to partner with Awanachi in this campaign. We call it the Awanachi Pads and Panties campaign. Could you just tell us what has been your drive for you to see the need to be a part of the Awanachi Pads and Panties campaign?
Thanks, Mrs. Simukwai. So, you know, for Stanbic, we believe in engaging in our communities. And through organizations like yourselves, we believe that partnering with yourselves is going to actually obviously help us to live to what we believe in at Stanbic Bank. When we say Zambia is our home and we drive her growth. So the growth of Zambia is to be able to see those young ladies, those women, to be comfortable. And I believe when you talk about menstruations, those are things that affect us as women.
Yeah.
We can't take that fact away. Any woman, as long as you're a woman, you know that for sure you're going to go through that cycle. Yeah. But can you imagine having those young ladies who don't have access to those kinds of facilities or services? And the fact that we are coming on board, we feel that sense of belonging to say that we want to drive and make the right impact in our society, in our community. Because our community is Zambia. It doesn't matter what part of Zambia we're talking about, but the fact that we're engaged and we believe that this is the right thing to do, we know for sure and for a fact that that difference we're going to make is going to be long lasting in the lives of these women. It's about creating a lasting impact in these ladies. And as Stanbic Bank, we thrive and we love the fact that we are part of a successful story. Those ladies, as they walk there, when they see the brand, they're like, Stanbic was here, and we are creating that impact in our community.
Absolutely.
Then we get it done, and we are proud of ourselves, and we're proud to be part of what you're doing in terms of supporting the lives of these young ladies and the women.
Thank you so much. We are always grateful. We really, really appreciate the support. Now, probably as we are winding up the conversation, the 2024 theme for Women's Day is Invest in Women and Accelerate Progress. What does this theme mean for Stanbic Bank, particularly the Anazi proposition and all the amazing things that you would like to do around women's spaces, in terms of how does the future look like for us?
So I'm just referring to my notes. You know, women have proven over the years to be very good entrepreneurs. And we see that we nurture their ability as a bank when you come up with various products tailored for women. So you talk about Anazi Banking. we see that if we need to see accelerated progress, it's us investing in the right channel. And remember when I spoke about Anazi Banking, we don't want to look at Anazi as a feminine thing, but looking at women as good business. That's number one. Women as good business. Because I always say that women I have, once a woman, you get it right in the women, you know that even in terms of the bankability of this woman is going to be a success. Because once she understands the aspect of paying off her loan, she knows that she needs to be paid without any problem. And it can be proven in terms of statistics from the World Bank that women are better payers. Someone can argue and say about how, but if I was give an example here, if I was to lend you money, you know for a fact that you want to give me back that money. But whereas our other colleagues, it'll be story after doing. Oh, now we should.
Program beat us up after this conversation.
They will not, but we see that most of the time there will be always an excuse of not wanting to give you the money on time. But women, they will still pay, but there will still be stories. But for women, if they know that Nipathet, I need to pay up, it will be there and then. No, they'll even follow you and say, I brought your money. So because of that, we have seen that on top of them being better payers, these women are still scared to borrow. So we need to make sure we begin to drive that in them. Borrow for the right reasons. So for us is to say the products that are tailored for these women, are they adding value to them? Are they helping them to enhance their businesses? That is why Anakazi now comes in. When we have 3 pillars, which we say one is access to knowledge, access to finance. When we finance your business, what are you using that money for? Is it really adding value to your business, or are you just using it for your lifestyle? That is why when you come to Anazi Banking, we have those networking sessions and the capacity building sessions. So we believe that when we provide this information, our women are going to be better placed in terms of them becoming even better financial players on the market. And thereafter, we begin to drive our agenda very well.
Okay, and then your last words to women in this Women's Month?
I only say that last words are not lasting for me because I will go on and on. Because I think when you talk about Anazi Banking and women, it's like it's become a part of me. And every time we speak women, it's very emotional for me because I believe that as a woman out there, you can achieve so much. You are unique. You are beautiful. You are great. The very fact that God made you a woman, and the fact that you are on this planet and you are listening to this conversation, if you have been hiding, it's about time you came out of that shell. Most of us need to come out of our shells and just be on the display. You know, like that beautiful, like the Awanachi Magazine here, it's on display. And when you're on display, what do you bring that people can come and have a piece of you? A piece of you that is going to create a lasting impression in their lives in the right way, impacting positively. So I believe that each and every woman out there has got a unique side of them. They've got a positive thing in them, and it's about time that you came out. Because we're saying this year, count her in. Anything you're doing, we want to count you in. So let's get this right, and together we can. Because she can be.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chiwala. It's been nice having this conversation with you. I don't even know how the time moved on. Our director is already telling us, hey, wind up. Like, oh, we're only getting started. But just to thank you so much for being part of our conversation today. I think a lot of things have been brought to the fore. The proposition of the Anazi Banking, which is not just for loans. Obviously, it's the networking, it's the capacity building that you're doing. I'm very excited to hear that you're now in the universities, and then also that you took time to talk to the traders or the marketeers. We just thank you for being part of the conversation. We look forward to hosting you on future conversations just to pick up a bit more around issues of women, empowerment and banking and all those things. So thank you so much for being part of the conversation today.
Thank you, Mrs. Simukwai, for having me.
So there you have it. We've come to the end of our conversation for this week, where we had our guest on the show, Madam Chiwala Shichilaba. Oh,
You
I have to
got it
get that
right.
correct. She is the head of the Anazi or the Women's Banking in Stanbic. Do join us next time for another exciting podcast. It's goodbye and God bless you.